There it goes. Hello.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow YouTubers, Facebookians. Today we are going to be talking about the Ramon Bueso cigar. And by the way,
The Ramon Bueso, the Genesis Project cigar.
By the way, for some of you out there, we're smoking the Ramon Bueso Genesis Project. And by the way, the Ramon Bueso Ashtray. So, Aaron, shall you take it away?
Well, the first part of this review is not going to be about the cigar. It is going to be about the ashtray. Because once we start using it, it's going to be harder to review. First of all, there is this nifty little drawer here. As they show in most of their advertisements, it's open and full with a 6-pack of Ramon Bueso, the Genesis Projects, Robustos, which we're enjoying. Number 2 is that there is cedar here, and there is also cedar here. So it is semi-cedar lined. It does work as a brief humidor. I don't know how much you'd want to use it. It's probably better to store lighters or something in there. I will say this, that the ash will get between the ashtray and the sides.
It is a glass top bottom there,
now,
for some of you.
The first thing I'd like to show here is you can see the reflection. It is glass on the bottom, but this is wood all the way around. And the biggest problem I have with the ashtray is that in the slots to lay your cigar, it protrudes up. The ashtray does. See, I told you if we get using the ashtray.
No, it's okay. Just continue.
I need to show. See, this is why I didn't want to get them started first. Anyways.
The reason is I was looking for my reamer.
Okay. Oh, no
draw issue.
Anyways, you usually set your cigar down inside. Well, this has a lip that comes up. So when you set your cigar, it's actually at a very odd angle. And it has a tendency, if the cherry ends up hitting the side of the ashtray, to burn the ashtray. So I would have preferred to see that the insert part was like fully glass rather than mostly wood with some glass on the bottom. It doesn't even join together properly in some places. It's still a nice looking ashtray, but it's mostly a novelty issue. So, and these cigars were a little dry coming in the ashtray too. They shouldn't have been as dry as they were. This one cracked when I was cutting it. I'm afraid she might crack hers while trying to open up the draw. So there you have kind of a review of the ashtray. Is it worth paying $39 to get the ashtray along with... Sorry about my neighbor. Is it worth paying $39 to get the ashtray and 6 of these? It is a very nice ashtray for the most part. It is not one I would pay $39 for, but the cigars are probably almost worth it anyways. There is a nice little deal right now with the Ramon Buesos where you can get 5 of each type for the same price as the ashtray. Also, you may not see it very well, but mine came damaged at the end, like it smashed into some drywall or something, and it has some paint redistribution on it. So, it's still a decent ashtray. Now, getting on to the cigar itself. It's a very visually appealing cigar. It's very dark leafed. It's oily. It's got a nice texture to it. The seams are there, but they're blended in very nicely.
Isn't this a Maduro wrapper?
It would be a Maduro wrapper, I believe. I have not looked up the specs of it. She's going to go look up the specs, I guess. The feeling to these cigars is very firm. It's a very hard cigar. And she just wasn't prepared when she said, let's make this video. After cutting a couple dry puffs, ended up having like a really tight draw to me, and so I actually had a lot of concern that these would have a very, tight draw. And as you saw, she actually used our little pipe tool, which is a pipe tool, but we use it for cigars, and it does open up the airflow sometimes, not always. So, the smell of the cigar, in my opinion, was earthy, and most of the earthy hints were of like hay, alfalfa. And your thoughts on the early scents?
Hay, alfalfa, barley, wheat. In my early stages, yes. I said pretty much smells earthy, hay, and chocolate, dark oily wrapper. Initial lineup was chocolate espresso, hay, alfalfa, hops, and barley.
So I didn't do an initial light up, but for the first third, this cigar was surprisingly milder than I thought it was going to be. Taking a look at this thing, it looked like a beast of flavor.
Yes, here it is. The 15 Ramon Buesos had 5 of each. The sample. It's a really good deal.
Anyways, I thought this was going to be a beast of a cigar. I thought it was going to be meaty and full of flavor.
Yes, the Genesis Project is a Maduro. The Genesis Project also has a new Habano, and then they got the Odyssey, which is a very lovely Connecticut. And so some of you out there, I just want to say on the record that I'm looking forward to trying eventually the Odyssey, because I do love creamy Connecticut cigars. And if it's just like this, you can't go wrong.
So, anyways, as I was trying to say in the first third, I thought that this was much milder than I just expected. I felt pepper, but I didn't taste pepper, if that makes any sense to you. The flavors that I were picking up was a mild coffee and possible chocolate, which I'll say the chocolate seems barely there after last night's cigar. Which was just way too much chocolate, but we'll get to that in another video. Again, I just have to linger on it. It tastes far different than I anticipated, and it's even sort of creamy, which I would not have expected from this cigar at all. However, I will say that the smell of the smoke itself is somewhat acidic and sour, and I wasn't a big fan of that. It was not very pleasing, but it was unique. And I really enjoy the complexity of the flavors that are flowing through this. Even though I've only given chocolate and coffee, there's just so much more, and you may have a totally different experience because of how much there is in this cigar. Your first third.
First third was mild with hints of cedar, chocolate, espresso, coffee, and mocha. And I'm talking not just mocha, but like a latte flavor too. So they crossbred them to be a more complex cigar smoke than, you know, most cigars.
So, anything else to say on the first third there?
Yeah, it gave lots of smoke, grayish white ash, nice thick ash as well.
Alright, moving on to the second half of this. The flavors were very similar. There was little change. What I would say is that the strengths of the flavors kind of flopped back and forth. Like this one was stronger, that one was strong. A little bit chocolatey, a little more earthy, a little more coffee-ish, slightly more pepper. Pepper's gone. It liked to flip-flop quite a bit, particularly in the second half of this. It was still a very mild cigar, though, and even the room notes started getting more mild towards that point.
My opinion is it changed flavors just a bit. You got still cedar, you got espresso, mocha, coffee, and chocolate, with a light hint, in my opinion, of pepper.
And moving on to the final, it's still maintaining the exact same flavors that those cigars had the entire point, but it has become even more towards a medium-bodied cigar, so it finally picks up a little bit, but it never hit the full flavor I expected.
Disagree. In my opinion, this cigar changes from a mild to a full-bodied cigar, and then some, you know?
Well, that's essentially my thoughts on it. Overall, though, I would give the Ramon Bueso, the Genesis Project cigar, I think I'd give it an 88. This is a decent smoke, but it's very plain Jane-ish. It's not something to exactly write home about. It's not something super unique. It does come with a fairly decent price tag, and well, the nice little gimmicky ashtray too. So I'm going to give it an 88.
And I just gotta say for the record, hey Doc, you better back up. We don't have enough road to get up to 88.
Okay, so do you have anything further to add about this?
Yes, actually I do. The third, you never had asked me to talk about my third. My third, basically, my final was, it changed from all these flavors to pure chocolate. And when it did, I also want to say, it left a nice, clean aftertaste or finish, in my opinion.
I'll agree with that.
Like right now, each finish that I take a hit on is really very clean, very subtle, you know.
Very pleasing smoke, and it is not what you expect of it. You, as I said, you look at this cigar, and it really does look like a beast of a cigar for the flavors. The dark, oily wrapper is somewhat intimidating, and it really looks like it's going to be a very strong smoke, and it's not. So this is good, particularly if you're... Well, I've actually heard somebody talk about Maduro fear. This is just very mild for Maduro.
Excuse me, I just want to say for the record, if anyone of you is watching our channel, my first, I believe, Maduro wrapper that I tried was a Partagas Black, and I gotta tell you, that was the best Maduro wrapper out there, and it's still one of my favorites. Now,
she actually started with a very dark, oily wrapper to begin with.
Now,
there was nothing mild about where she started.
No, and then I wanted to say and
you have me to blame for that, because the first cigars I got her was a Partagas Black Label, a Baccarat Rothschild, I believe it was,
Cohiba Crystal,
and a Cohiba Crystal. So
this was 10 years ago. I also wanted to say, just for the record before we sign off, my other favorite cigar that's very full-bodied is the Habano Leafed Romeo and Juliet Anniversario, which I'm thinking of splurging in my birthday and paying the $241 to get a box of 28 Romeo and Juliet. That's what it comes.
I also know that she's interested in the Partagas Extra Oscuro, so that gives me some ideas there. Anyways, thanks for tuning in, and catch us soon
Yes, catch us soon for the next video. Please add and subscribe if you like. Post comments, leave feedback and suggestion. May God bless the world. Amen.